What do you see in Adam Ondra that he's doing that impresses you or that really stands out?
From what I've seen in Adam, he's very ambitious. His skill and his background, the amount of climbing that he's done from such a young age is, I think there's probably very few people that have climbed as much as he's climbed. And so he has a incredible climbing knowledge of just like his movement and his body. And I think it's incredible watching him on site in particular, what he's been able to do.
I'm curious if you have a take on, who might be the one to put up a 5:16.
I don't know. I think there's some obviously amazingly talented climbers out there these days. There's so many people climbing at a very high level. So I think, it's like what I just said. There's probably a lot of people that are capable, but who is going to, put the time in to do something like that? Mm-hmm. But I think ultimately it's like whether it's Adam, whether it's me, whether it's, any of the top level athletes out there, I think probably one of the main differentiators from like the rest of the pack is just the how hard we try. I think, there's a certain ability to try another notch higher than most people. I think that's what it comes down to. It's just another level of effort. And I think you have to want it a lot.
Can something like that be learned, do you think, or practiced or trained? I feel that myself when I want to try hard, but sometimes I'll just, the little nagging thing will come in and just be like, I'll just lower off and we'll try again later and this kind of thing. But I agree with that sentiment that you just raised there. I think yourself and Adam, Jonathan Siegrist comes to mind, and others that are to your point, kind of at the tip of the spear. There seems to be an extra reserve of try hard that isn't common. And what do you attribute that to? And is it something that can be fostered, do you think?
I'm not sure if it can be fostered or not. I think, for all of those names that you just mentioned, it's like climbing is our life. It's like how we, realize it's our path. It's like how we realize ourselves. And I think, put a lot into that. And then beyond that, I think there obviously are like just certain genetic factors, right? That certain people might be, better off than others. But in the end, climbing is being a very personal experience. And in the end, there's always going to be someone better. There's always going to be someone not as good, right?
All right, y'all, just a quick shout out for today's sponsor, which is PhysiVantage Nutrition. This is their new pomegranate berry flavored collagen. Oh my gosh, it's so good. I've been a paying customer for years, y'all, because this stuff works, all right? It helps me to train harder, recover faster, and perform at my best. It's kept my fingers injury-free as I've been training hard. And don't just take my word for it. Check out their pro team. From Alex Magos to Natalia Grossman and Jonathan Siegrist and Daniel Woods, so many pros are using PhysiVantage on the reg to level up. I think you're going to love it. Hit that link below. Use code STRUGGLE at checkout for 15% off and give it a shot. Let's get back to the show.
One of the interesting things, so for me, going back to climbing in Mallorca, it's just the most untainted climbing experience that I can relate to, where there's no reference points, there's no grades anywhere, there's not even any bolts to follow. But if you wipe all that stuff away and just focus on having a good sensation in your body, and that's one of the things that I focus on quite a bit, is just, what it feels like in your body to feel when you feel really good climbing. Your body's in tune. Your brain sends a signal to your fingers and they respond just how you planned for them to act, right? And so we each have our own version of that, of like, what does a good sensation in climbing feel like? But I think that is a better barometer for climbing performance, at least on a personal level. Focus on how we feel while we're climbing. It's interesting, we like as humans to have these like these markers, whether it's a grade or whether it's, competition or whatever, but it's really interesting to go and just immerse ourselves in our own personal experience of what climbing feels like to ourselves. And then I think it can be a pretty interesting thing to come out. Like you might come out and be like, actually, I suck. Or you might be like, actually, I'm climbing better than I've ever climbed before. And,
Right.
But when you, it's almost like a sensory deprivation take. You don't know where you stand. You don't know what anything's graded. But then I think surprisingly, if you focus only on having good climbing sensation, like usually you'll end up in a better place. You'll be like, oh, I'm climbing better than I've, ever climbed.
I love that feedback and that focus on the movement. And let's flash forward, 20 years. You'll still be able to climb harder than 99% of the population of the planet Earth, but maybe not as hard as you were. And have you thought much about that prospect and how you find meaning and fun and challenge if you're not pushing?
I mean, obviously, it will be interesting to see what my relationship with climbing is like, because climbing is so much about progression, right? But my idea, which I just laid out, is that I think if you focus on sensation, I think you can, it's an experience between your body and the rock. And I think you can still have that, whatever level you're at, you can still find that good sensation climbing. And I think that's probably more important, honestly, than actually climbing at your hardest. If you're climbing your heart, at this high level and not in tune with your body, then maybe that's not that cool anyways, right? I think that's the way. It's just for me.
Yeah, thanks, man. That's beautiful.
One thing I would say though, like with Sleeping Lion, that was really different, for me. Looking back before I was had a family, comparing that to now, it's funny because I'm like, man, all you have to do is I had endless amounts of free time. And I think that's the really interesting challenge, to be able to just climb 515. Like you don't have anything else going on, not that hard, but to be able to, have a family, to have these different obligations, these different things going on, and then also climb, that's really, I think, really interesting.